Okay, so I got some good news and some bad news. The good news is we probably are going to see a parabolic run. The bad news is at a certain point, this is going to stop. So let me talk really short about the parabolic run that I expect, but mostly about, profit taking. And we can talk about that way more in the future when it's actually time. I don't think it's time to take profit yet. Of course, if you expect a local top for Bitcoin, you could decide to take some money off the table and put it in back when it's lower. But that's more trading and that's more risky because you have the chance of missing out. But at a certain point, you actually want to sell your crypto. You don't want to hold on to crypto forever. It's what I did in the 2018 cycle. And yeah, writing it all the way down, I mean, it's not really making you rich. So at a certain point, you should feel like, hey, let's sell. And a lot of people, they feel like, I need to sell it right here, right? Let me already manage your expectations. You're probably not able to pull that off. I am probably not able to pull that off. So if you expect that on this channel, then I have to disappoint you. But we can, of course, use multiple metrics to find out where we can sell as close to the top as possible. But first, let's talk about the bullish scenario because we are not there yet. It takes a long time before we are there, and in the meantime, there are like many gains to be made. So let's discuss that first. However, like the video if you already like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on, and I will ask a question in this video. Get the answer right, leave a comment, and I'll pick a winner that wins $100 as saying thank you for the support on the channel. So first, I do think that Bitcoin has a lot more fuel left to it. Now, why do I say that? Very simple. Basically, already one thing is basing it off of history, right? If you look at Bitcoin and you really zoom out, you see that Bitcoin is actually, if you consider these bear and bull markets as pumps and corrections, you see that Bitcoin is actually just in a macro trend. Right now, here it went completely parabolic, right? And now it's going more diagonal, and at a certain point, it's going more horizontal, right? And the gains will be less in the future as there is more money in crypto, there is more liquidity, so it takes more to pump the price and it takes more to dump the price. So even for investors and traders, there will be a time where it's getting harder and harder and harder, but we are not there yet. It's still time where things go pretty parabolic. Now, when it comes to the altcoin market, that's where the real opportunities are. In a like bear market, you don't want to get into altcoins. You don't want to get into crypto in the first place, probably, at least not as an investor. In this sideways market, you want to be very careful with altcoins because although Bitcoin might go sideways and the overall market does, a lot of altcoins still die because that's the long and the boring phase, and these projects just give up and run away with the money that they maybe still have left. In a bull market, you, of course, the best strategy so far was to first be in Bitcoin and then convert it into altcoins later on. I think now the best time is to be in altcoins. I have some Bitcoin left, but it's mostly alt right now. And I think the parabolic run for altcoins is yet to happen. What I notice is, for example, if you look in at the last bear bull market, right? If you take the Fibonacci retracement and you take it from the top to the bottom, you could see that the altcoin market came into this golden zone right here. And when it was struggling at the 0.618, it approached it right there, and it took like 4 or 5 weeks to finally break it. Right? This is usually not an area that we just blast through. If we now look at this current run, you can see that we also entered this golden zone at the 0.618, and we got a couple of rejections right there in a matter of the last 3 weeks, give or take. So it is not unusual that we get either a good correction at that point, or two, just go sideways for a while before we break it. Like, nothing is up only, of course, and it has been pretty much up only so far. If you don't, count for this, December until February move right there. Once we break this, it is pretty much straight to the all-time high, and the altcoin market is also very known for making new highs after new highs after new highs, and that's definitely on the table. And I think that all the money that comes into Bitcoin right now, Bitcoin is sitting around all-time highs right now. It's having a small correction for $64,000, but nothing too crazy. All this money will at a certain point flow into altcoins, and that's not really what we have been seeing yet. If you take a look at this chart right here, this is basically the Bitcoin dominance, but we exclude USDT, USDC, Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP. Why? Well, USDT and USDC are irrelevant anyway because you do not invest in those, hoping that you're going to make some long-term gains with those. And Ethereum, Cardano, and XRP. Why? Because these are some real high caps, but there are also some very bad underperformers. So if you don't invest in these coins anyway, and you're looking more outside of the top 10, then this is the chart that you get. So this is the complete altcoin market. Well, this is basically Bitcoin on its altcoin pair. So the Bitcoin dominance excluding these coins. And you could see that Bitcoin was running for a long time, and from basically June last year, Bitcoin is going down against the rest of the altcoin market. So altcoins are finally catching up. But if we look at this chart, we're really still up pretty high compared to where we came from. We have a lot of room to go down. So a lot of Bitcoin money is there to flow into altcoins, in my opinion. And that could definitely drive the altcoin market like crazy. Some people, they would say like, 5x for a high cap altcoin, that's hard to do. That takes a lot of money. Yeah, but there is a lot of money in Bitcoin that will do that at a certain point. And this chart looks weak, man. Low highs, under the bull market support band. We got rejected right here, and now we're heading towards the 382, which is quite lower. But especially this golden zone is kind of a magnet, if you ask me. So the altcoin market is definitely there to make some big gains. Now, when to take profits, when to take your money out of the crypto market. Like I said, for now, it's not that relevant, but it can't hurt to already have that information. And I will talk, like I said before, more about specific altcoins on the channel, about newer releases that you still can get into. Because if you are in crypto to invest in, the, like I said, the ADAs and the XRPs, and then the market is boring. Then the altcoin market is not for you, actually. Then you could have better invest in Bitcoin because these coins, they don't move. But if you invest in good pre-sales or new coins on the market, like everybody was able to invest in Portal. Portal went like crazy, right? You could have invested in that. Maybe you did. I don't know, right? And then we have these coins from all these launchpads and gaming and AI and Deepin and the launchpad tokens themselves. It's pretty obvious to me. It's pretty obvious. So that's the place where I would look. Now, when to sell, that actually leads me back to Bitcoin. And I'm not looking at one specific metric that tells me like, hey, you should now sell. But there are multiple metrics that I would like to combine. And if they all add up, then I feel like, okay, it's maybe now time to get out of the market. Number one is the MVRVZ score. You can go to lookintobitcoin.com. You have a lot of on-chain data and a lot of useful charts that you can look at right here. And the MVRVZ score, it's a pretty complex metric, but basically, if you want to put it very simple, you want to see if this orange line is high. That's basically like, I can explain like, this has to do with the fair value, and that's getting divided by the market cap of I have to actually read it right here to actually tell you, but you can read it right there. But basically what you can see is every time the MVRVZ score, so the orange line, is peaking, that's in a Bitcoin peak. Over here, over here, over here, over here, and over here. So that's, the first thing that you want to take a look at, and we were sitting at a score of 3, basically. History has shown that the MVRVZ score at least has to go to 7. Otherwise, Bitcoin hasn't topped out. You could say it's diminishing because we had a peak here and this peak was lower. And that's true, but this peak was a little lower than this one and this one as well. So I don't know if that's actually diminishing, but as long as the MVRVZ score is topping out right here, it looks more like a smaller correction in the meantime. And that looks kind of similar to what we had in 2019. This was the COVID crash, and that took Bitcoin down. And this took Bitcoin down by a lot, of course, right? We do not need a COVID crash. Bitcoin can have a normal correction. We don't need a 70% correction or anything like that. But the MVRVZ could reset together with that. And that could be definitely a sign like, hey, maybe get into the market a little bit more, because you see that basically from this point until this green band, and the green band is 0, that's the absolute accumulation phase, by the way. We'll talk about that in the next bear market. But anywhere between here and here is overall good accumulation. And once we are getting to this level, it might be time to get out of it. Now, another metric that's very useful, that you can use in combination with all these other metrics, let me put it like that, is the pi cycle top indicator. The pi cycle top indicator is a combination of 2 moving averages, the 111-day moving average and the 350-day moving average. And once they cross, that should mark the top of Bitcoin. Now, the thing is, here it was mega accurate. Here it was super accurate, and here it was super accurate. The thing is that this metric is developed in 2019, which was over here. And take back historical data is, of course, very much more easy than predict future data. So the first prediction, actually, that this metric had was over here in 2021. And it technically was the top, right? It was like inaccurate by 3 days, but that's what it meant to do, like predict the top within 3 days. So far, so good. And that was like a perfect call, actually. However, we got a higher price for Bitcoin at the end of 2021. So time-wise, it was far off. Price-wise, it was not much of a difference, actually. So this is basically just based on one accurate hit. So I wouldn't just, if we are a year or a year and a half later, and you see the pi cycle top indicator flashing, I would not just look at that and be like, okay, I'm gonna sell my bags. Again, use this in combination with other tools. You can find this on loointobitcoin.com as well. You can find this on TradingView. You can find this anywhere. But we'll talk about this on the channel by then. But again, use all these metrics, combine them, and if they all tell you the same, then it's maybe not so smart to ignore it. So that's the second metric. Now, the third metric is going to be a lot harder, and it requires some brain power and thinking for yourself. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, logic, right? Because you do not just want to stare blind at a line on a chart or on a moving average or whatsoever. Like that's helpful, but it's not that a magic line can determine your financial freedom, of course. So next thing what you want to do is look at the cycle, right? Study the cycle. That's what we talked about a lot on this channel, and I think that's the best way to do. Study the cycle. If you look at how Bitcoin moves so far, you could look at it like this. We had the top end of 2013. We had the top end of 2017. We had the top end of 2021. It may be a little too easy to say that it's going to be end of 2025. Then again, that is actually the trend. But it's also a little ignorant to say like, it's now going to happen end of 2024 or something, right? Or end of 2026. It could be But again, you are betting against the odds, right? And that's what you want to do. You can, of course, use the data that we have and place your bets on that. And I think that's the best thing to do. So it could be off by a couple of months. So it could be this time September 2025 or February 2026, whatever. But based on what we have seen so far, it would be really weird to say like, nah, this cycle is gonna top out a year too early or something, right? It's like it doesn't seem that realistic to me. So look at the history of Bitcoin. Look at the trend. You know what they say? The trend is your friend until the end of the trend. The trend hasn't ended. The trend is 110% intact, actually. So don't bet against that. Now, if you do want to determine your financial freedom based on a line, you can, of course, draw a line, right? What you like, again, I want to express this very clear. Combine all these tools, right? Then it kind of makes sense at a certain point and finds a good midway. Okay, because this right here as well, this parallel channel has been accurate for the last decade. All right, since 2013. So there is a very high chance that in the coming single year, it also will be accurate. But hey, maybe it won't. Like for everything is a first time. But what this is saying, in a bull market, we get to the top of the band. In the bear market, we go to the lower side of the band. Right? We don't actually have to touch it like here and here, but at least get towards it. Right? Now, this has been accurate so far. In the last bear market, we hold this line perfectly, right? So there's no real reason for me to say like, yeah, in the next bull market, it's going to be a huge difference, right? Of course, it could be a huge difference, especially if you know what the price is at the top of this band. It doesn't sound realistic. Then again, 11 years of accuracy, right? What's going to change in the coming year? So what I look at, if I look at this, I'll be like, okay, bull market, bull market, bull market, right? Now, if you look like, okay, 2025, somewhere at the end of it is gonna mark the end of the bull market. Where is this sitting at the end of 2025? Now you will be like, fuck, man, FOMO, because that's sitting at $1.2 million, right? Of course, we don't have to get to the top of it, right? We also didn't do that last bull market. Could it be that from this point it's been, diminishing? So here we break above it, here we go below it, and maybe in the next bull market we just go to the mid band, like super bearish. Actually, if you look at it like that, even the mid band though is sitting at $320,000. That's telling me like, hey, some people say we just go to 120K, right? So that means we will move. I don't know what happens exactly in the meantime, right? But at the end of 2025, we move to this point and then go down again. That doesn't like just seem like right? How do I say this? It's not even close to average. It's not even close to average, right? So that's also really unrealistic. So 120K, for example, doesn't make sense, right? So all these things, I'm gonna use those to combine price, but also time, right? Price and time. I think that's the best way to do. Some people they set a price target, um, and that's nice. But then again, if your price target is being hit like next month, are you going to sell it all, right? Well, we time wise still have a very long way to go. I don't know. Also, the logarithmic regression band, we always go to the red band, right? The upper band. The upper band is now sitting at 170 to 40, 50K, right? Now, but the band is moving up. So even if we go to the upper band now, we still have more than a 3x to go. And you want to use your you want to stay alert, right? That's what Crypto Lark, I think, has been saying. Like, if you notice that the Coinbase app is #1 on the App Store, then it's maybe time to feel like, okay, this is getting too mainstream. It's getting too big right now. It's getting too overheated. If everybody is talking about Bitcoin, if your old friends are calling you and talking about Bitcoin, and not just one or two, but everybody, right? Uh, if it's just all around you, if you see it on television, if you see it everywhere, you got to feel the vibe. And then you will notice, like, okay, it's maybe time to now get out. There's extreme greed in the market, too much greed. And another thing, and that's the last thing, that's the social metrics. So keep watching the channel because I will cover this a lot. Social metrics as well. How many new people are watching YouTube videos about crypto or subscribing to channels or following other analysts on Twitter, right? Because always so far, after the top, blue line is Bitcoin, red line is the social metrics. Always after the top of Bitcoin, new people coming into crypto is at its highest point, right? We're sitting here, right? If you compare it to last cycle, that's here, right? That's here, right? Bitcoin just broke all-time high here, right? And new people finally start to come in. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. Bitcoin broke all-time high. New people now really start to come in. But the massive retail adoption that really drives the price up, we haven't seen that yet. So if you sell now, you're selling way too early, if you ask me. I want to leave it here for this video. Question for the giveaway is, when do you think the market is going to top out? When do you think the market is going to top out? And also, why do you think that? Let me know in the comments down below. Give me a good argument, not just then and then. I want to know what you think. Because there are a lot of smart people in this community. I want to learn from you too. For now, like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. See you guys tomorrow.